Hello everybody, my name is Krista Bailey and I'm going to be presenting to you my kindergarten theme unit. For this theme, I decided to look at community helpers and how we can learn more about them, how we can support them, and just how they support us in the community. So for this unit, I made a curriculum web kind of giving a snapshot of what each unit or each part of our unit will be talking about. Our main idea is community helpers. And so going along with each subject, for reading and writing, we're going to be reading books about different community helpers and writing thank you letters throughout the unit. For math, we're going to be using counting, sorting, graphing, and measuring when it comes to the community helper supplies, the community helpers resources, kind of integrating math concepts into us learning about community helpers. Then for science, we're going to be exploring the materials that community helpers use and why they use them. We're going to be looking at safety equipment and science use in the roles of these community helpers. What do they do with science? For social studies, we're going to be looking at the roles and responsibilities that they have, the rules and laws that they create or have to follow, as well as the contribution to society that they give as community helpers. For art, we're going to be making a community helpers design badges. So for each community helper, there's usually a common known badge that kind of represents them and what they work for. So the students will be creating a badge that represents the community helper that they're assigned to and creating something better or cooler and what they think a badge should look like for that role. Then for Bible, we're just going to be looking at kindness, community, and service and how it kind of connects to what God calls us to do as Christians and how it connects to community helpers and what they do. There's also a video along the curriculum web that kind of talks about and introduces each one of these community helpers that I'll be using throughout the unit as well. And these flashcards also are part of a game or extra material that we can have when reviewing community helpers that we're learning about. For the book list, I just compiled a big amount of on-level kindergarten level reading books that we can have to add to our curriculum for reading, writing, science, math, whatever we need to use as a resource to help learn more about community helpers. I have, for one, it's whose hat is this? Community helpers usually wear hats, so we can kind of identify whose hats are who through that book. Officer Buckle and Gloria, I think that's a cute one. Firefighters A to Z, that one's a nice one. And another one that could be the Berenstain Bears, jobs around town. I think everybody can connect to the Berenstain Bears. That's a good way to connect what they already know and be able to learn something from the Berenstain Bears and jobs around town. Now, preparing for this unit, I would need to get or collect dress-up clothes that represent the various professions, kind of so that we can have tactile and visual resources for them to connect to what they see out and about in life. Props and tools, art supplies for the art assignment, books and visual aids about community helpers, the YouTube video that was on our curriculum web, and also songs that relate to the community helpers. And a guest speaker, I feel like I would want to communicate also to the community and ask some of these community helpers to come and visit the class and talk about their job. And there's nothing better than having the person who actually works in the position actually come and talk to the kids. So for the first lesson plan, this one is dealing with reading and writing. Students will be able to identify various community helpers and describe the role through listening, class discussions, and writing. So this one will be reading books. We'll be looking at a discussion on who do you think wears this hat? That'll be the book that we'll be looking at. And then we're going to go through a class discussion and kind of talking about each role through their hats. The next lesson plan will be looking at math, and we're going to be sorting tools by jobs. So students will be able to sort and classify tools used by different community helpers. The students will be able to, I'll be posting or have a collection of tools that they use, and they will be able to classify them with the correct job. So after we've talked more about each job, they'll have better information to better organize each tool that it goes with. And then students will be able to cut and paste the sorting worksheet that they will have to test their knowledge on what we've learned so far. The next lesson plan is science, and we will do what do community helpers wear? So we will go through, and while we're introducing each community helper, we'll focus on their clothing. I will introduce the concept by having a mystery bag full of clothes, and I will pull out each item in the bag and put them on, and they'll have to guess what I am. We will explore each item, discuss the material and why it's used, because there are different materials for different clothing. Firefighters have a different material to protect them. Doctors have a special material as well, police officers. So talking about how they're made and why they wear them. For the next one, we're looking at social studies. We're going to be doing jobs in our neighborhood. Students will be able to identify community helpers and their roles in the local neighborhood community. We're going to be looking at a map. I will post a mini map and ask them to find where we can locate community helpers throughout our neighborhood. Then we will post pictures of helpers on that map while we discuss each one to kind of go through and know where we can find each one of these helpers, because they're usually found in specific places. Students will draw their own neighborhood and show at least one helper and what the building looks like for them in their community. Lastly, we're going to do art. We're going to do a design a helper badge. This is where students will be able to create a symbol badge that represents a community helper and their role. We're going to be having a template where there's a badge template there, but they will have free reign to create whatever badge best supports the community role that they were given. I'm not going to give them free reign to pick their own role. I will assign a role to them, but they will have free reign to design it and create the special poster or special badge that represents the community helper. So that's the end of my unit. This is an explanation of what I would do for kindergarten, looking at a specific unit, community helpers, how I would explain everything, lay everything out, and hopefully by the end of it, they'll know everything about community helpers and be able to pinpoint one out in the community around them. Thank you.